This is actually an older jacket. See, yeah. This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this is a review of the binge watch of Star Trek Prodigy, all of season 2. We watched all of season 2 today, about 7 or 8 to now at 4. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into the individual episode details. There's other people will do that. It's just a rundown of it. The first episode, Once More to the Breach, or Into the Breach. The first 2 episodes has them going after the time warp. Janeway and the crew and the kids are going to go time warp. Yeah. Zero and the others go to a planet where they've decided to put on corporeal bodies. And there's like a hunt with a creature. There's yeah. It becomes a human body, sort of a trans thing going on. Okay. And then there's Devourer of All Things 1 and 2. Space creatures are attacking. And the Diviner Lady is attacking, and then you have Last Fight of the Protostar 1 and 2. They go back. They find the Protostar in the on another planet. It's been there for 10 years, and they have to fix it because it's paradox. Send it home. A tribble called Quest. A tribble called Quest is essentially a Protostar version of the planet of the Tribbles. So, yeah, it's a similar story to that one. They go to a planet, and there's like giant ones and small ones, just like in that episode 2 years ago. And they clearly watched it. And then we have Cracked Mirror, in which they kind of show the mirror universe, and they've never had a Universe Janeway Voyager episode. So, they do. That's also similar to Star Trek Destiny's story last season, into the mirror universe. Only in story only, really. Ascension 1 and 2, they're at Solum, they have to fight the bad guy lady, and the Diviner's less evil because he lived a different life, which would correct the timeline, make a mess. I'll do the review later. I'll go over the whole thing. But I just ran off a list of episodes, so I'll do it later. So this is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and yesterday I watched Star Trek Prodigy season 2, and I'm just going to do it over again because the review that I did yesterday didn't make any sense. So basically we start out with kind of spoilery, I guess. We start out with the Voyager A going on a mission to the wormhole thing that they created previous season, and they're gonna try and rescue Chakotay from the wormhole. And they send Gwen off to Solum in the current time period, because 53 years in the future it gets attacked and destroyed. But then there's time travel where they go back to 2366, and the current time period is 2384 in this story. The 2384 in this story. And then early 2385, which ties into the Mars thing at the end. Anyway, so yeah, so we have when Dollar going to the planet. There's her father is there, but he's an astronomer on the planet, and the evil lady is the evil lady. She's got a name. The other divider lady. She wants to start a conflict on the planet. It's amusing that in science fiction stories they often have 1 or 2 bad guys that are just capable of controlling an entire planet. That's kind of remarkable that they're able to do that. It shouldn't work that way. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, so I'm looking at some of the things here. We're introduced to several of the characters, including the Nova Squadron people and the Vulcan girl with the hair. On the bridge, it appears that there is a cameo by Tendi. She's on the bridge. It's probably not. It's just another Orion girl, but it's implied that it's Tendi. The Kal Kat character in the story gets erased by the time rip, which I thought was funny. I was like, here it gets erased. The time Tommyknockers style, deviant style time things show up and they erase him. Yes. Well, he was one of the Cats anyway. He's one of the Holocats. Anyway, so we have, Into the Breach 1 and 2. And, the Voyager. Yeah, I'm just going to kind of go over in general. I don't know if I'm going to make a longer review later, or do I need to? Probably not, because Trek Yards is doing them. Probably not. So the first 2 episodes are basically them trying to get where they're going, and they go through the wormhole. Even though Admiral Jellicoe doesn't want them to go, and they go anyway. They go anyway. They also find out about the mysterious Shuttle Bay 3 that doesn't exist. Yeah, as well. A lot of joke stuff. Very well written. Steve Shives also approved of the season. Over there, the other has his web channel. Yes, a lot of member berries, but he liked them. The member berries actually work in this because they took some advice from him and Nemechek and the others, and they said, okay, well, we want the member berries, but we want to do it in such a way that it's interesting. There's a reason for the member berries to happen. Then it's fine, because there's a reason for it to happen. It's not like a gratuitous cameo by such and such a character you need to know who that is. No, it has to actually make sense in the story. Having a different take on Solom and Diviner and the other character does change things considerably. But that would affect the timeline. So they try to find the protostar and bring it back, and in the story, in the series later on, they find it, but they send it back to the wrong place. And they've got to go to this other planet and find Chakotay in the later stories. Well, Gwen is kind of out of phase, time trapped and stuff, and there's a mysterious entity that's contacting them from the other side. And I was watching that and I was like, I did not actually expect it to be who it is, but then when he showed up, I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of obvious. It's not cute. Oh. Yeah. So then there's this other episode where they go to, Observer's Paradox and Temporal Case 101 for trying to figure out what to do with Gwen, who's time traveling back and forth thing. Robert Picardo is is the doctor in this. Of course, the doctor comes back. We got Kate Mulgrew and we got we're eventually introduced to Chakotay. Robert Beltran shows up, and yeah, and as we go on to later episodes in the story, just kind of mulling over the details because want to finish the review, right? Imposter syndrome is the one where the kids make holodeck versions of themselves, which would cause the holographic doctor to notice that because he's a hologram. He totally knows that, but doesn't notice it until later. And they're supposed to destroy the time ship that they have in Shuttle Bay 3, and they steal the time ship to go find Chakotay, and because it's about the kids, it's the time ship. Sure. Yeah. And then we go to the serialized stuff. We get to after the holograms turn on them and are wacky. Very similar to the Chimera Psyllium stuff. But it's not really, because that would be something else. So yeah. So then they have an episode where they go into a Borg transwarp conduit, and they meet a Kazon, who could be related to the Kazon from our series. And he's just hanging out in the wormhole on a planet. So it could be him. That'd be kind of funny. Maj Bolo. They don't say it in the story, but that could be who that is. But in 2383, he might be on that planet. It's probably not him, though. A little awkward. I think he's a little older than him. He'd be relative, though. Yeah. And in the next episode we have Is There in Beauty No Truth, which is a play on the classic Star Trek episode Is There in Truth No Beauty, which was the Medusan episode where Spock mind melds with the alien. And on this particular episode, they go to a planet where several Medusans have set up a cult-like colony where they can become corporeal entities, can become non-corporeal entities, can be made back into corporeal entities somehow. It's clearly a metaphor in the story, and it will upset the right-wingers because it's a metaphor for trans people, clearly, which is awesome that they did that. That's cool. Yeah. It's a metaphor. They don't say it explicitly, but it's a metaphor. By having the robot turn into a humanoid, they're also doing the Data thing. Data becoming with emotions and feelings. They're also doing that too, but it's a metaphor for trans, which is cool. Yeah. Yeah. So Zero is injured and becomes a humanoid, and that is consistent with Zero's later designs in Starship. She shows up in Starship Strange Worlds, my series, 20 years later, and he has a more humanoid suit. So he's got like a humanoid suit. So it's consistent with that. Even though they break it and have to rebuild it later anyway. So they break him again and have to rebuild it. He does get broken again. So they have to put him back in the suit. Oh well. But yeah, timey-wimey stuff. It gives them a headache. Alright, so 209 and 210. The title credits give the Devourer of All Things 1 and 2 away. Will Wheaton's in the credits. So Wesley's in it. Wesley Crusher's in it. Alright, cool. Wesley Crusher's in it. But Wesley Crusher, as you knew him in 2383, it would have been 2384, it would have been 20 years ago. So yeah, 20 years ago. Yeah, roughly, or less than 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago, in the Star Trek universe. And he is a traveler. In the story, he's the Wessian, and you can tell Will Wheaton is chewing scenery. He steals the show, and it was a fairly decent imitation of that kind of character. He's sort of a nonplussed crossed with a hyperactive squirrel or something, yeah, that's what he would be. So the Wessian from Cillian Space is in this story because he's also the evil Mirror Universe guy in one of the other in the games. So here he's back in this Devourer of All Things. And here's where we're introduced to these loom things that go around and eat the universe whenever the universe timeline is being destroyed. So the TVA from Marvel with the Deviants does that, and also the Tommyknockers in the Stephen King story where the timeline was being eaten by the creatures, and also another Stephen King thing, Dark Tower did something similar. So it's kind of cool. Reference other properties. Why not? So the kids in the next couple episodes, Last Flight of the Protostar 1 and 2, they go to the planet. They go to the mysterious planet with a floating sea and all that and a thing, and they go there and they find the Protostar in Chakotay, but he's been there for 10 years, And the bird guy that he had, his first officer, he's dead. They find him. They somehow are able to fix the matter antimatter thing, because conveniently the bird guy, before he died, collected some from the lightning. Which the lightning does produce a little bit of antimatter, but there'd be I guess on that planet though, there's a lot of it. So, yeah, it's instantly annihilated once it hits matter. But he figured out a way to collect it somehow. So he's a bird guy. That's it. So yeah, the bird first officer. So yeah, they got to convince them to power up the ship and leave the planet. I'm assuming several weeks have gone by while they're on the planet, or at least a week or so. Even though they're on a time limit, and they seem to have left the holographic version of what's her name behind and all that. But Gwen. But yeah, yeah, and then they go on their merry way on the Protostar after they convince Chakotay to power it up. They also they need to go to another planet to get Protostar building material, which doesn't make sense. But it's fine. Timey-wimey stuff. Sure. So they go to the planet of the Tribbles. The next episode. Yes, they've done a version of a condensed version of Planet of the Tribbles. Escape from the Planet of the Tribbles was David Gerald. And I adapted it in Strange Worlds pilot 3 years ago. And adapted it as the Great Tribble Hunt. And Prodigy has now done it as well. And there's the Klingon guy on the planet, and he's a scientist, and he's doing the thing, like what's, and there's little tribbles, and there's giant tribbles. There's a Tribble Queen. So there's a damn Tribble Queen. Right, cool. The Tribble Queen doesn't talk, though. But then Rok-Tahg experiments on the Tribble, and somehow some of her, even though she's a giant, I think she's a Capellian. She's a rock creature. She's the youngest one in the cast. She's like 13. Everybody else is like in their early 20s. Will Wheaton's 53. So he's the oldest. Well, Barbara Beltran and Kate Mulgrew and Barbara Picardo are in their 60s. So they're in it. But yeah, they're... so yeah, and Jellicoe. The guy playing Jellicoe too. But yeah. Yeah, the lady that plays Gwen is actually 27. But anyway, actually the guy, Dal, is in his 20s as well. But yeah, there's yeah, and actually Jacob Pog is in his the late 30s. The guy playing that character, late 30s, early 40s, I think. Sounds like it. Yeah, so they go to the Tribble planet, and they have to get the material for making the star on the Tribble planet. For some reason, there's material for doing that on this Tribble planet. Or a Tribble planet. It's not the Tribble planet, it's a Tribble planet. In the next episode, we go to a sort of a timey-wimey parallels thing, where we briefly see Mirror Janeway and Chakotay and them in the Mirror Universe. Some of them go to the Mirror Universe, some of them go to the Trek Universe from the other story. Yeah. And they have to figure out how to get back to the real Voyager, not the Mirror Universe one. Yeah, it was very similar to the Destinies episode with the ship warp thing happens. And they meet the Flodians from the other universe. Yeah, it's very similar to that. And Solum is not Solum. It's not the planet from that Cisco blasted. It's a different planet. It's not Solanos. It's Solum. So that rumor is not true. Anyway, so you have Ascension 1 and 2, Project Crew and Chakotay. Reunite with Voyager. Oh, Ascension is the lady, okay. So they're going to go, the Protostar crew and the Voyager meet up, and they're going to go to the planet. They're going to have, they go to the planet, to Solum. And all the action's going to happen soon with that. it appears that Essentia has captured the Traveler, Wesley Crusher. And they have to go rescue him at some point. Yeah, and how did this one lady lead the entire planet? That's kind of impressive. Let's see. Hey-oh, and then there's Brink. Bring on board with some. Her father's Itheron. Okay. They have to go rescue Itheron and Brink. Okay. and yeah. And there's Touch of Grey as opposed to Shades of Grey. Not 50 Shades of Grey, just Touch of Grey. On the planet, the main crux of the story is, yeah. There's a battle. They gotta rescue Wesley and Itheron. So they rescue Wesley and Itheron. The next one is Oberos 1 and 2. That's the main battle at the end, and the penultimate and final episodes of the season. It's now stardate wise early 2385, I guess, because yeah, they kind of switched at the very end of 2385. Yeah. So, but it's late. It's after the timey-wimey stuff. They've managed to send the protostar back with the crew. They're gonna put the kids on the ship and send it back. Only so far as they can then beam them out, so they don't end up staying on the ship and being lost in time. So, yeah, because it's a kids show. They're not gonna have them lost in time. Not gonna happen. Ouroboros 1 and 2. Stop the Civil War. Solon is saved, but then how do we know that Itheron is going to have her later anyway? Maybe he won't. Maybe he won't do that. But it was suggested that the planet is saved in another timeline, so they're in that timeline. But those Tommyknocker things are chewing up the timeline there. So yeah, the loom. Oh yeah, Wesley Crusher. So Ouroboros 2. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep looking over at this thing on the screen. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very good Star Trek for an animated fan film. Very good Star Trek. Quote Steve Shives. Yeah, it works. So. Yeah, it was a really enjoyable season. Watched all of the episodes yesterday. So, well, it's not much of a review. It's more of an analysis. But yeah, I mean, I got to see Dal and Gwen kind of implying they like each other more. That's fun. Janeway and Chakotay have to get to flirt a little bit as well in the story, especially playing the mirror versions of themselves. Will Wheaton choose scenery. Jellicoe choose scenery. The Wesley Crusher choose scenery. And we get to see a brief Gates McFadden Crusher scene. We also get to see imply that we're going to see Jack Crusher gets a little kid. But we don't. They don't show it. If they don't show him, you just kind of hear him in the background. They don't show him. Ew, it's odd that they would have like the Capellan kid be like a little kid. It's literally the actor's the only kid in the show. It's just odd. Oh well. Anyway, it must be kind of weird for them to be like in this studio reading lines and stuff, and there's like this bunch of these people in their 20s and 30s. There's this little kid in the corner. She gets some of the lines. Must have been hilarious in the writing room. Yeah. So, and France TV had aired this like 3 months ago, by mistake. I did not see it. Parlez-vous français? But no, I did not watch it over there. I do not have France TV. Oh. No, they don't say oh there either. No. Yeah. I don't parlay the front. I like stealing words from movies and stuff. I don't know French. Anyway, so yeah. A lot of time stuff. A lot of Fast and the Curious. I wonder why they wanted to have like an episode that sounds like the Fast and the Furious. Why would they do that? I did like the transformation story and the holodeck kid story and the other ones. And Will Wheaton being good or evil is consistent with his role in Destinies as well. And that's that season. Destinations. Yeah, Star Trek Destinations. It's consistent with that. And his appearance in later ones. And Legacy appeared in that too. So, yeah, so it's consistent with our timeline. So they didn't break the timeline. I liked it at one point when they were doing the separate timelines. They appear in the Silly Trek timeline, just briefly. Look for it, it's in there. It's in there. One of the timelines is the Silly Trek timeline. They go into the weird sick bay and it's all messed up. It's a Silly Trek timeline. Because clearly they're watching her show, because they even animated it right. It looked like the sick bay from the Chimera. Chimera's not even supposed to be there. That's funny. But yeah, I wonder what the original Chimera would be there if it was 2383. No, maybe they wouldn't. Maybe the original Chimera was going at that point. It wasn't until 2388 or 87 that they christened the Chimera from the show was, yes, Kal Kat, Erased Mystery. Let's see. Yeah. Sure. Touch of Grey. Touch of Grey. Really? I assume they just like that song from the Grateful Dead, The Touch of Grey. Probably should have called it, I don't know why they call it Prodigy, because like it's progeny technically. It's Gwen, the Gwen show, the progeny. But they called it Prodigy. Well, that one makes sense because the second season they introduced Wesley Crusher, who is the Prodigy. Yeah, he's the Wunderkind. He is Mozart, but with time and space. He is the traveler. One time, he acknowledged one of our fan films, one of those Ready Room episodes. He said, I've seen a fan film in which they suggested that I was in a relationship with the traveler, or my character. Well, my character was. It's canon. And then he laughed. Well, not me, but my character was. Oh my. Anyway, so yeah, he was camping it up in this one. So that character in the story totally would have gone with the traveler. He would have. I tried to warn you, Wes. Oh, you is the traveler. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, it's fine. It's good Star Trek. And some of the serial stuff was a little odd that they kind of made filler of those other episodes. They didn't really need them, but it was nice for them to pay an homage to that Tribble story. That was great. Cool. Well, I should like that one. Excellent. I like making that one too. The only thing that would have nailed it is if they were the talking Tribble thing. The thing that sounded like Divine. Funny. Oh, I'm fabulous. Exactly. I didn't do that. They didn't go that far. I didn't mind. Anyway, so, yeah. Star Trek show. Breach. They get to pull out some of the other characters. Yeah, the Andorian guy is kind of odd structurally, painted-wise. They made Will Wheaton look more humanoid than the other characters, so they recognize Wesley Crusher, which I found interesting. The other ones look a little more cartoonish, but they made Will Wheaton's Wesley look like Wesley Crusher if he was a cartoon. And they made Chakotay look like Chakotay. And they make fun of that with the Mirror Universe one, the beards. So anyways, yeah, it was fine. So, binged watched it yesterday. And yeah, this is a better review than that other one. So, yeah. Well,